So good morning. Here we are. We've done this before, and I thought it was really helpful because a couple of things. If I try to go out every single time and do a sweep, it takes sometimes over a month. And that's not typically, I think, as fair because whoever's on the end is kind of the last person. This is not a substitute for me not, to come in the field at all. But this is a way for us to all hear messages at the same time. I'll say again, our IT people, I want to tell them how much I appreciate putting this together, because we don't have the best technology, but we're trying to use the technology that we have, and we need to do more investments. But it's a big deal to be able to broadcast across our entire company. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate you all stopping your day. It is a sacrifice because many things are going on, and we're delaying the focus on our customers. But it is oftentimes important when we have something going on that we as team members can get together and try to align. So I'm appreciative again. And I will say a statement before I get started on why we're really here. I know I am extremely busy, and I am running all over the place, internationally, nationally, to customers and things like that. I want you to know that it's not because I don't think what you do is important. It's because I know what you do is important, I go out and do what I do. I have to be out there all the time to make sure that people understand there are 3,000 team members serving the 7th largest city in the nation. And telling our story is really important because people think because we're municipal and we're a quasi-everything, that we're not sophisticated. They don't think our people are highly skilled. They don't know how hard it is to produce power and maintain it 24/7, 365. And I am getting a ton of suggestions. I'm getting a ton of people trying to help us do things. The problem is it doesn't always follow with things that can be done. And so this is a ongoing, not stopping anytime that I can see. It's getting more and more intense. And people have talked to me because I typically talk about it in the extremes. People on the left and people on the right, it has political connotations. All I mean to say is there's a 180 divide about what our future should be. And I don't know if you've done it because you don't normally do it and we don't ask you to do it, but I would tell you to go look on our website and look at the last board meeting. And you will get a taste of what is happening in the conversation all the way to the board table. There is division at the board table because there's an interest in being environmentally responsible. And there's a lot of interest with us being all renewable tomorrow. And so I know that if that is a controversy and very difficult to explain at the boardroom, how in the world do I figure once we step out of this building that the average customer understands what it takes to make things happen? So again, if I'm not around, it's because promoting this company and making sure that people understand that we are people doing the very best we can, and we do a darn good job. Matter of fact, we do an excellent job. Somebody walked up to me the other day and said, "What makes you the expert?" I said, because we are. Because we are. This is what we do. We have devoted our careers to this business. And when you go out and visit with retirees, you understand the legacy and how they've dedicated their careers. I am beyond proud of what we do every single day, and I am not going to let people take our business from us without a fight. So, some people will say, you look like you're out there kissing babies and running for politics and all that kind of stuff. I will never run for political office. I will never run for political office. I will never run for political office. It ain't politics for me. We are a business owned by a community doing the right thing. So if I'm out there again with customers and students, because I'm trying to get students to believe that this is the best place to be, so they're not voting against us and some of the initiatives that we have in the future, those are the things that I have to do. But I haven't forgot what my home is, and I haven't forgot about you, and I'm beyond proud of you. So I say all this to say, look, it's like we're a family. And maybe I don't know how long ago. I've been here now 15 years, so it's all blending together. But I remember one day when I was at a table, we were talking about, are we a family or a business? And people were worried that if you said we're a family, then that family thing makes a coat of blue sometimes a barrier, because sometimes a coat of blue might say, well, let me get away with things, right? So we had this big controversy about whether or not that's the right thing to do, or just stay super professional and just go with it. And I'm still going to say we're a family. Families don't always get along, though. I don't know about you, but I got some family members, and we don't get along, like real blood. But we're still a family because we spend so much time together, and when you're close together with people, it's a family. We're all trying to do the right things for ourselves, and ultimately we're trying to make sure that our families are taken care of, and that's what's important. But I also I've been noticing for years, little things across the company of what I would call like incivility. And I have been worried about it, incivility. And when I talk about incivility, look, we can disagree. You can disagree with me. You don't have to agree with me. And we can have a dialogue about your opinion and my opinion. But it has got to stay professional, right? Even if you're mad on the inside, and even if I will tell you, there are times I'm sitting across people who are like telling me I'm doing everything wrong, and I ain't happy about it. I don't like it. But I know the moment I lose my mind and say something crazy today with cameras and witness and all that, it'll flash across the paper. I know this. I expect everyone to be civil. And I will tell you again, it's a fight. It's a fight. And I expect eventually that we will have people who are so angry at us. It'll be an all-on attack, and it'll be marches and all these things that happen. But we have to keep our grace about us, and we have to be level-headed, and we have to be professional, because we will lose if we think this is a dogfight. We'll lose. What do I look like fighting with someone who's like trying to talk about clean air and my kids are suffering? If I lose my mind about that, we're toast. And so I expect, and we invite people in our house all the time. We have guests all the time. They come to our board meetings. I absolutely expect that when they walk in the door, they will pay us our absolute respect, because we are hosting them. And we have to keep a level of civility inside this company so that people don't think that they can come inside our company and be incivil. But I have noticed little things across our organization over the years, probably a lot last year, of people just getting angry, yelling, screaming, mad because they don't feel like they're being heard. And that's a problem that we have to fix as leaders and in the management side. We got to fix, people have to be heard, but we can't lose our focus to talk to each other with respect. And I demand it. So as I watched, and we started getting into this year, I will tell you, I sat down with IBEW leadership, and I sat down with Nate leadership, and I said, for sure, I said, look, be careful. Be careful, because I'm not going to save myself if I screw up. I'm not going to sit here and beg the board to give me another chance if I totally lose my mind, go ballistic, and say, oopsie, I made a mistake. So if I'm not going to save myself, I'm not going to save another chief. I'm not going to save another executive. And I'm not going to save just about anybody for losing their mind. Because once we do it, this is exactly what happens. KJ works for me, and I let her off the hook. What are you going to say? FOP, friend of Paula. So if I say KJ, then I got to save everybody. And it is a cascading nightmare of misbehaving, right? So I have to hold the line. So I forewarned them that look, please talk to your members. And I'm talking to the executive team, hey, get a handle on your areas and be kind and civil and respectful. Put yourself in learning mode and be a better leader, right? We got book club for executives. Executives got to read books about how to be better leaders, right? So we're doing all this stuff, but I still see people just getting mad, and I see frustration and friction and all this stuff. The civility policy was my idea. It's not meant to put out there as punishment. It's meant out there to refresh our belief in our core values and our people first philosophy, and remind everybody, no matter what, be civil. Be civil. It's not, this is, what I want you to think about this policy is a call to action. It is not a license for firing people. It's a call to action. Check yourself. Make sure you're on it. Check yourself. Be engaged. What happens up here, put a filter on it. Just because you think something doesn't mean it has to come out. Now, somebody says, Paula, are you the thought police? You're trying to tell people what to think? Heck no. I cannot tell you, will not tell you what to think. You don't want to be up in here. Don't follow what I think. Right? That's not it. You can think what you want. And when you're at your home and you're inside of your house, I do your thing. But when you walk in here, this is a business. And everybody has to get along. You don't have to love each other. You don't necessarily have to like each other. You got to respect each other. So put a filter on it, and let's get to work. That's all this thing is. We've got core values. We've had core values from the day I walked in the door. We had core values when we didn't know what core values are. When I sit and talk to retirees, and I understand how much they've loved this company, they've got core values. Now look, over the generations, we had a lot of racism. I'm not gonna lie. We had a lot of racism and sexism and prejudice and all that stuff. Every business had that. Because that was at some point in time, it was legal to do all the stuff that you can't do today, right? But we still had people with good hearts, and we had a good mission, and we have a great company, and this company's been around for 159 years because of the good people. Assets don't matter. People matter. But we are now at this point where if we keep doing this, little things, like I'm not saying it's everybody, but there's 3,000 of us. Let's say 5% of the population is out of control. It takes 0.5% of the population these days to make headlines. People want to think bad things about people. So if we get headlines flashed on, look at all the fighting at CPS Energy. They say people first. They're full of it. They don't care about people. They're dismissive to people. They don't treat their own people right. Then they're not going to treat the public right. If they can't treat each other right, how can I think they're going to take care of my best interests when we're talking about the future? How can I trust them? This is what I'm really trying to get at. People trust you now. Your reputation is stellar. And I want you to own it, and I want you to be proud of it, and I want you to live the principles that we instill. But when, I get it, somebody made you mad or they did something that they shouldn't have done. I get that. But just tell them and be done with it. Walk it through a process. Be cordial. Don't be part of the problem. It takes two people to argue. Right? It takes two people to argue. When one person walks away, the other person just looks like they're ranting for no reason. But arguments take two people. And so I'm trying to ask you all the same principles we have about protecting each other from in a safety situation. Help your peers if they're having a hard time or struggling or angry. Walk them off that mental ledge of frustration and help them. Because we got so much work to do. It's incredible. We have things that we need to do, but we cannot do them the same way anymore. We can't just go out and do certain capital investments on the spruce plants. It's just, right now, if we're not careful, what we used to do and say, hey, this is about time, we're experts, we know, we're going to do this, we're going to put it out there. That's what we used to do. Now we need weeks and months of prep to get people to let us do the things that we need to do. And in light of people saying, you got to be transparent, you got to be open, you got to give me more information, you got to do these things. And, we serve. And so if we don't find a way to include people, we'll lose it. The industry is evolving all over. And maybe you don't feel like your job is going to be affected that much, but it affected us when we had to close Dealey. And right now, somebody tried to say, why don't you just put a date on spruce? Right? And then somebody else says, I don't need CPS Energy. I'm going to use all my backup power and create microgrids, so don't feel like when you're in the wire side of the business, you're safe. So if we don't get along and focus and stop fighting for no reason, we will lose. Because as we fight, people are out there trying to take the value of our business model. Because we're fighting about nothing. People are strategizing how to get into San Antonio because San Antonio is a sweet market. It's a sweet market. If you don't think other people, tech companies, other utilities don't want in this market, I'm going to tell you right now, wake up. So when I see energy fighting about you got something that I didn't get and I deserve this and, you didn't deserve that and all that kind of stuff, and then it goes on and on and on and on, I worry about our future. So I will do anything to get you to focus on the future and the work and civility and using your smart minds, your super smart minds for good. That's what this is all about. I don't want one more punishment. This is not about punishment. I can't stand it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Just do your job and do it well, and you will be great. My husband used to tell my daughters every morning, I don't wake up in the morning wanting to punish you. That's not on my list. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, I can't wait to do punishment. That's awesome. If you do, I will find you. I will. So in the grand scheme of things, I'll just end with this and let them ask questions. In the grand scheme of things, everybody's responsible. Don't be an agitator. Don't be a tricker. Don't be, just don't try to plot. Plotting to get it back at somebody, if you get caught, you will be punished because that's a waste of time. Other than that, doing your work, you're safe. You got a career here. You can stay as long as you want. Okay.
Well, thank you, Paula. Is it on?
There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paula. That was a lot. Like you said, we do have some questions that were brought up at some of the civil behavior training. Before, though, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Blaze Scotchney, Chris Euchster's Chief of Staff. Jose?
My name is Jose Reyes. I'm a lead crew foreman out of Mission Road. And with that, I'll go ahead and lead with the first question. With that, where did the core values come from?
Well, we've had core values for a very long time. When I entered the company in 2015, there was this thing that the CEO at the time, which was Milton Lee, and this is what I remember, and there could by far be something before that, but he wanted to do a big audacious goal, right, to be the best municipal company, I think, in the nation. And then he wanted core values refreshed, and so we came up with those. And he used to run around the company and like, tell me the core values, and tell me the core values, which used to drive me nuts because I couldn't remember them. I was so new. And so that's where they came from. And then, again, as we were looking, over the last couple of years, we were looking and saying, well, they've been out there a while. We went from core values to behavioral principles. That was under Doyle, our predecessor, and he introduced this phrase called intrusive, we used to call it intrusive management, but it was mostly to get managers to, like, buck up and talk about things, challenge things professionally, which I still think is important. But then as we talked about it again, we wanted to refresh it. We wanted to get back and get some of the essence of the original core values, and then we wanted to fresh them up with where we were today. And so that's what happened. All the senior chiefs got together for quite some time thinking about, well, where's the refinement of them? And so we just refined them and refreshed them as a gift back to the organization.
Okay, well, thank you. For the civil behavior policy, why are we doing this now? People are coming up like we've been doing pretty good, we've had some problems, but why are we doing it now?
Well, why not? I believe that every year you have to, refresh what you're doing, and maybe we don't refresh our focus on behaviors because we have those out there. But I think periodically you got to do that, and just as we thought about it, we're again, maybe also it's the confluence of all these things that are happening. We're getting a lot of pressure. We're getting a lot of criticism. We're getting a lot of people, just frustrated about things, a lot of it outside the company. So it just seemed really important that we work together and refresh it. I don't know. I mean, is it the internet that people don't read the paper anymore? They don't read real stories. They don't want to listen to the essence behind things, and so people are rushing to judgment, making opinions, and being very angry. And I see all the hateful comments that are out there in social media. I've been memed up a lot, and so I just am just concerned what's happened, and why not again refresh ourselves and make sure that we are safe inside our company and civil inside our company.
So as you said earlier, this company has come a long way, and we've, through adaptability and making the right decisions, and I think that we're way better now than we were before. So isn't this policy going too far?
We are way better, but the standards increase. Look, I'm not the same CEO I was when I first became interim. I've learned a lot about a lot of things. But just in the last 4 years, while we have gotten better, a lot of things have changed. And we spend a lot of time with customers. Sometimes they'll come to us and they go, well, I want to operate in your service territory, but I don't want you to provide me power. And that sounds ridiculous, and we would say, no, don't do that. We have that. But we are at risk of losing this territory to competition every 2 years. And there are people who are pointing at and making a focus if we trip, if we make a mistake. I've sat across from state senators that said, Why wouldn't you like competition? Competition is good. We should just be able to come into your market. And I have to tell them all the time, we keep ourselves up on the newest trends. We keep improving. We've got great service levels from everything from restoration to the phone systems. And so we give our customers all the benefits of competition without all the complexity and the hassle. But that means that we have to keep getting better. So that's just now table stakes. When I first came in 15 years ago, every year we'd say something like, can we have an easy year? Can't we go back to the way it was? Can't we like just slow down and have a great year? And every year we go, maybe next year will be a better year. We're done with that, and it'll be a great year. Next year it'll be calm and smooth and consistent. When's the last time we had a calm, smooth, and consistent year? And so now this is required, this pace of change, this refresh, this recommitment that has to happen. Yeah, we're great, but you ain't going to be great doing the same thing this year. 5 years from now, that's going to be old news, behind. We won't be able to keep up. So it's required, and we've got to be that nimble.
Next one. Why do I have to limit my discussions? If I'm having a conversation with Rudy, why do I have to limit what other people are thinking on our conversation? Why are people becoming so sensitive on that if I'm having a conversation with Rudy and they overhear it?
I'm not sure I know what kind of conversation that is, but okay, let me try. Look, again, freedom of speech, right? I've got freedom of speech. I can say what I want. You can say what you want, but again, you can offend people. What we used to say 20 years ago was common, and people kind of took more offense. They took more license to say whatever they want, but the sensitivities have changed, And the other thing is, like, check yourself. If you're saying stuff and you wouldn't say it to your grandma, even though I get that sometimes, people tell me, like, hey, we're just guys, so we're going to have guy talk. I'm sorry, this is a business. So when you talk, if you can't say it in front of your grandma or in front of your grandchild, then find a different way to say it. I don't believe that we've got to be so extreme that we can't express ourselves. But we just have to. And keep in mind, again, I've had customers call me and report to me that they see and have heard things. And again, now people take pictures and they audio tape you, right? So when you realize that everything you do can be scrutinized, I know that as a CEO, everything could be scrutinized, but you could too. It could happen to you. So I think it's still important that we try to be as professional as possible. Why does it matter? Because you don't know if you're offending someone. And if you have a better word choice, then why not use it?
So also, as mentioned earlier, we've come a long way as a society, as a group of people, as a company. And we see that, things that were illegal back then, or legal back then, are illegal now, right? As you stated earlier. So there's a lot of hot topics or hot buttons. But one of the questions is, why is there so much focus on race?
Why is there so much focus on race? Okay, I'll try. I don't always know where the emphasis is, right? I don't know why there's so much focus on race. Of course, I wouldn't know, right? But I do know that naturally some people look for differences and similarities. And actually, there have been studies over studies about people being assimilated and liking people who go to the same school they went to or have similar backgrounds. It's just easier. It's just not as difficult to find commonalities. But that's, I think, superficial. A lot of times when I go places, if people don't know who I am, if they don't know what I do and who I am, I'm going to be truthful. About 25% of the time, they're dismissive. They're dismissive. They won't even say hello. I've been in places, walked in the room without people, when anybody I know, I just show up early, get myself together, and I'll say hello, and they won't say hello. It's happened more times than not, right? Then somebody walks up, they know me, hey, I want to introduce you, Paula Williams, she's from CPS Energy. They're about to do a $500 million bond with you. Oh my God, you should see their eyes. Oops, oopsie, right? She caught me. I don't have time to be mad about that, right? It's business, so I'm gonna say, do your job. Let's get these bonds sold. My people need them. We got to get out and do the capital. You know what you did. I'm not your parent, and I'm not your police officer. You know what you did, right? So I don't know why people make a big deal of race. I don't know why. But if the question is, why are we overly sensitive to race? No. I mean, are we overly sensitive to gender? No. Are we overly sensitive to sexual orientation or all those things? People just got to be respected, and people shouldn't be looked at about who they are and who they live. I mean, who they love and where they live and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't even freaking matter, right? So, I mean, I think the point is, don't when if there's a controversy, one thing to do is to look back and see. On one side there's a bunch of black people, and then there's a bunch of Hispanic people, and the other side there's white people, and all of a sudden we polarize. Maybe we didn't mean it, maybe we didn't, maybe it just kind of happened that way because that's how we came in the company or whatever. But we should be self-critical enough to go, well, this picture doesn't look right. How did we get to that? How does it look like there's racism? What are we going to do about it? I really don't think that people are motivated by racism, but I have seen leaders say certain things and all of a sudden prefer a certain group of employees, and then when you look, they're all of a certain class. They're all of a certain race. And so while it may not have been intentional, it kind of happens systemically. And we just got to challenge ourselves and not let that happen as leaders, as managers, as executives. So racism is a fact of the U.S. It's part of our history, right? That's kind of how things started. But I'm not going to tell you that I believe we should lead with that. We should just respect each other and really realize that our commonalities are that we love this company, that we are here for a reason, that we work hard every day, that we aspire to retire for a job and a career well done, and it doesn't matter what color of their skin or anything else that they like to do or whoever they are outside of work. They should be able to be whoever they are. So I don't know why it matters. I don't know why people do what they do. But in here, part of our civility, I think it shouldn't be part of what we focus on.
So for my next question, you kind of answered it earlier about free speech. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. Somebody told me that in this job you got to be ready to pivot, and flexible. But he had mentioned hot topics, hot button issues. Why are we supposed to stay away from like race and religion? That's always kind of brought up that you're supposed to stay away from. Seems like I'm missing something too. But race, religion, and something else.
Oh, probably sexual orientation or politics. Yeah, in politics.
Yeah, politics.
Well, I think the caution to stay away from it is just because it's an area where it's so easy to keep. If you keep going with it, and you have no boundary with it, then usually somebody says something. Quite frankly, they say something pretty dumb. Pretty dumb. I'm not being critical. I've said dumb things, right? And so the point is, do we really have to be at work talking about politics a lot? I mean, like I wake up in the morning and I look at all the news and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get away from that. I can't wait to get to work so I don't have to look at all the machinations of things that are happening politically. I'm not political. And we are connected to an entity. We're owned by an entity that, that there's politics because the city has a political aspect of it. So what I look like criticizing the city? I stepped away from the San Antonio Chamber because there was politics and litigation and all of these things. And what the point was, that's not my job. My job is to help customers and businesses, and as long as I could do that as the head of the chamber, I will do that. But the day it started to be political, and the day that chambers and businesses were thinking about suing the city, right? Even if I was New Star or Valero, and I was on a private association, and then they decided to sue Bill Greehey, or the executives of another company, I couldn't stay. So I just say that it just leads to a lot of bad commentary, offensive. I've had people say things like for or against the president, but you don't know what people believe. Maybe they're for or they're against the president, whoever you're talking to. So why would we be fighting about something like that at work? It's not productive. We've got a 24/7, 365 business to run that is not political. It's not based in politics. It's not fueled by politics. We don't need to be concerned by it or religion or anything else. So the caution is just to keep people focused and keep from offending each other and to stay away from that space that usually goes too far.
And so for my final question, so there seems to be a lot of pushback when new policies are rolled out, and I know that certain employees or individuals, have derived negative connotations sometimes from past events that have occurred in their department or just personally. So what would you say to an employer or an individual who feels that this new policy, this new civility policy is an effort or it's just set up to get people and to fire them?
Well, look, I wish we didn't need any policies. I wish we didn't. Look, I have done more things where I thought that this is a gift and we are working it out and we're gonna make this happen and we can stay loose. And every time I've done that, many times I've done that, I've been sorry because that real looseness has led to more issues and a lack of clarity. And as I call it, the velociraptor testing the fences. I'm just going to test this fence because it looks weak, right? But I wish we didn't have to have policies, but we do because it helps people have and understand what's important in the company and where boundaries are, because there are boundaries. This is a business. Look, it's not Paula Gold Williams Energy. It ain't. I will come and I will go and you all will stay. CEOs don't last a long time. We're not supposed to. So I'm not running this company for me. But I do see people say things like, well, we're fine out here. They should just leave us alone. You belong and work for a big company, and we all have to be aligned, and we all have to understand where the boundaries are. That's called work. And the entity is CPS Energy. That's the entity. And change has to happen. And I'm talking to all of you. I can't see you. I'm talking to all of you. Change is coming. And the value proposition is accepting change and being in learning mode. Maybe 20 years when people joined, you could assume that your job and that the environment would stay the exact same. Probably the industry hadn't changed for decades. But that's not what's happening here. So as much as we don't like change, a new policy, a new clarification, a new thing, that is what we have to deal with so that we can stay focused. And so if you think it's about trying to catch you, here's the best thing to do. Read the policy and follow it, and you will be fine. But if you're mad and you go, well, I don't like it, because I mean, now I can't say these things, or I can't yell, or I can't throw my mug down and walk out of the room and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know when I'm going to come back and all that kind of stuff, that's not who we are. Just follow the policy. How difficult is that? Really, your job, 99% of your job just means do your job. Do your job. But if your focus is just to break policies, then you ain't doing your job. So it's just the requirement of doing something. We're very sophisticated, we're very busy, and we're changing. And so these are just things that help us stay focused so we can move forward.
Well, thank you, Paula. I was given the cue card that we have about 5 minutes left. We did get through all our questions, so that was good. That was good. I do want to remind everybody, too, that we are recording this. So if you have coworkers who weren't able to watch it, or if you were having some technical issues, that it is going to be recorded and posted soon so that you could rewatch it if you needed to. So you have about 4 minutes left.
Look, I am not perfect. I am, well, that's an understatement. I feel like I have to be personally self-critical all the time. And I have to ask myself how I can do better. Do better for you, do better for this community, do better for leadership. And I have done better by not assuming that I know everything, and not assuming that I'm perfect, and not assuming that I'm just anointed to be allowed to do whatever I want, because I'm not. But that's not a burden. That's a gift. That's a gift. Because that allows me to care enough about what I do and care enough about you and others so that the focus stays where it's supposed to be, which is you. And I'm not trying to do anything else, but I want you to have wonderful careers. And I want you to be successful. And I want you to feel valued. And I want to stop all the noise and all the stuff on the outside that just prevents that from happening. But we're human, and I get human behavior, and I get that we have bad days and we have problems outside of work, and sometimes that comes with that. And I'm just saying, come here, take a deep breath. If you need help, let us know. If there's something that needs to be improved, raise it. We're not fast, but we try to fix things. And working together, I mean, we will evolve, and this company will survive, and you'll have great careers, and it'll be wonderful. It is. So ask yourself what you value. Do you value your career? Your career. Do you value your profession? Do you value your craft? We all don't make all the money we want to make, but do you have a good life and a good living? Don't get confused about some little silly dispute that keeps you from the big prize, which is your career and who you are and what you do, and ultimately a wonderful retirement. I will tell you, and we're going to come back and talk in the future about this, if we don't stop fighting and focus on things like our base business and our business model and our pension plan, and I'm starting to talk more about our pension plan, because a lot of people are wondering, why the heck do we have a pension plan, right? Why do they get a pension plan, a defined benefit pension plan? I don't have one, right? A lot of times people think this is about me and my salary and all that kind of stuff. This is about everything that you value. And my point is, remember what you value. Remember what's important and make it a priority. And don't let little stuff make you stumble and trip and put all the stuff you value at risk. It ain't worth it. Take a deep breath, let it go, process it, filter it, express yourself, but keep going and keep adding that value. That's what I want you all to do. Personally, I want you to be great. I care. Okay, thank you so much for being with me this morning.